There are definitely some products that I've really relied upon this year for work, and particular products that I've kind of really enjoyed using and had good results from. So I thought today I would make a short film with the eye products that I've really found to be great this year. So I'm going to start with mascara. Last year, I think I was more into the really big brushes, the big plastic brushes, the kind of really volumizing fat brushes. This year, I've noticed that I've used much smaller brushes and just really got into them. One that I've really liked is the Extended Play Giga Black Mascara by MAC. And this has a very thin, long wand, and it's kind of the same width all the way up, very, very skinny. It's fantastic for really getting into the roots of the lashes and really lengthening and defining your lashes. So good if you've got fairly good lashes, maybe they're not too thin, but you just want to really define them and separate and lengthen them. The formulation is not too wet, so if you don't like those kind of wet glossy ones, you prefer a drier formulation. It's not too dry, but it's definitely drier than some. Then it's good because you don't have to wait for it to dry. It dries very quickly and it's long lasting. The only thing I don't use this for is for going back in, maybe an hour later when you want to add a lot more. Certain mascaras work for that. I don't find that this mascara does. I think when I've done that, the lashes seem to have started to clump a little bit at the end. So I'll get it on quickly. It has great results, but I don't tend to build up with it throughout the day. Another tiny brush is the DHC one, and this has kind of become almost my first love in the last couple of months. It has a minute brush. It's smaller in length than the MAC one. And rather than be straight up and down, it's sort of fatter in the middle and then goes extremely tiny at the end, both ends really. So it's like a very elongated egg shape. This is more of a wet formulation, so it's quite a glossy, very, very glossy, very dense black. And I just find it goes on so brilliantly. And you can use the tiny end of the brush for kind of getting right down to the roots in the corners, either corner. It's a Japanese brand, and I think it's sort of designed really for an Asian eye, but I think it works on everyone equally well. And then the slightly fuller fibres in the centre, you can kind of use for the centre of the eye for really opening the eyes and sort of volumizing them a little bit. So that's another really great mascara that I'm relying on 100% now in my kit. A more volumizing mascara, and one that I've just loved using, is Le Volume Mascara in black, and this is by Chanel. What I like about this is that although the brush is bigger, the length of the bristles isn't. So it's a very densely packed with lots and lots and lots of very tiny bristles, and they kind of go around in a sort of spiral shape. So it's very similar in a way to using a small brush, but it's got the bulk as well. That's what I like about it. And I find that with this, if you've got thin lashes, this is fantastic. Just really go right into the roots of the lashes and kind of massage for ages, as long as you can, and then sort of zigzag out, and it just adds so much oomph and bump to the roots. You really notice the volume just increases hugely. So continuing with the skinny theme, which seems to have been my thing this year for eyes, I'm not sure why, is the Hourglass Script liner. And this is a liquid liner with the most exquisitely teeny tiny skinny nib, I think, of any other brands out there. It is whisper thin, and it is perfect for drawing that very thin line right at the roots of the lashes. So it's almost like you just want to thicken the roots of your lashes and have that definition without even having a visible line, which is such a lovely look. And I also think this is great for people who aren't very good at applying liner, because you're drawing such a thin line. In a way, you don't need it to be perfect, or you don't need to kind of balance it out. So I think that's a beautifully designed product, beautifully designed nib, and it does last, and it's so effective. Another nib that I like, another eyeliner I like, is the Skinny Liner by Ico, which I've used a lot of this year. And what I like about this, it's obviously got a much bigger nib, but it is quite angled. It starts sort of thick at the bottom in the middle, and then it kind of really tapers to a very tiny point at the end. And I think that is nice because also the length is quite handy because you can get into the corner with the very thin nib. And then as you go along, maybe you want to thicken up and do more of a wing or something. You can use more of the center as it sort of as it thickens up and kind of get a thicker line as you go along. So again, really long lasting. I find I have to remove it with oil because it's quite hard to remove. It is very long lasting, and I also think, again, although I use it and I'm obviously a kind of pro, I think both of those are good for people who aren't good at applying liquid liner usually. So that's 5 products that I have really enjoyed using this year for defining the eyes. And there are also 5 products that I think are great for non-makeup artists as well. So not necessarily for jobs, but just for everyday life. I think they work really well and they'll last you a long time too. I obviously have to replace them every time I use them because for jobs I do different faces and different people all the time. But for personal use, I think you'll get quite a lot of use out of those. I obviously use lots of other different eye products and liners, and depending on the job as well. But I find that these 5 this year I've really kind of relied on and have used pretty much, I'd say, one of them for every job I've done. So I really rate them highly. So that's it. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you soon.